Hello everyone, welcome back to the series. This is episode 10 of building a chat up in C from scratch. In the last episode, we made it so that we can receive full messages reliably, so we can send a message right here, like let's say, hello everyone. We can press enter. Everyone else receives that message. We can reply to that message and say, hey dear, how are you? Or something like that. And everyone else gets that message. We can reply to that message. And one of them can say, I'm doing great. And every one of them gets that message. So today we're gonna be handling client disconnections, and also we're gonna be testing out our application on Linux to see if there's any bugs or anything like that, and we'll fix them. So currently, if we close our application, guys, look what happens in our server. It just keeps spamming right here, and that's because we haven't handled client disconnections. And you can see our other applications are receiving invalid messages. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Alright guys, so let's get started. So let's start by opening our chat.sockdef.h header file. And since we're gonna be handling client disconnections, guys, we're gonna need to be able to manage our chatsock list, right? Because each time a client disconnects from our server, we're gonna need to remove that client from our client list. So if we go to our chatserver.c, we can see our client list right here, right? Whenever we accept a connection, here's our accept function. You can see so this is our accept, right? We essentially add that client to our socket. So we're gonna need to remove that client whenever the client disconnects. So let's introduce some new flags to our chatsock item. So let's introduce a bool disconnected flag. And let's go to our chatsock list.c. So right in here where we're receiving a message, guys, what we can do is say, so by default, if we check our Linux mon page, let me open up my terminal real quick. And let's wait on this to initialize. So let's open up mon receive. So this is our receive system call, guys. So if we check the return values of receive, it says receive returns the number of bytes received, -1 if an error occurred. In the event of an error no is set to indicate the error. When a stream socket peer has performed an orderly shutdown, the returned value will be 0. So that means if our client disconnects from the server and we are trying to receive a message from that client, then we'll get a value less than or equal to 0. So now that we know that, guys, we can actually start, by checking the return value of our chatsock receive function. So we can say if chatsock receive is less than or equal to 0, then we can do a simple message like printf client disconnected from server, and then maybe we can just do a return null right here. And we could just do a free receive arg right here for now. And let's do it for our receive all function as well. So we'll say if chatsock receive all is less than or equal to 0, then we'll do a printf client disconnected from server exclamation mark, and then we'll do a free receive arg, and we'll just return null. Now we have this disconnected flag that we introduced. We need to be able to set that disconnected flag to true. But let's just test this out real quick first. So let's just do a start cmd.exe just to see if our server is detecting if our clients are being disconnected. So we'll do cd into our chat server, and let's build our chat server. And let's also go into our desktop chat up within each one of these. So let's just execute our application. So we have 3 windows currently now, guys. So if we close one of these windows, you can see our server said client disconnected from server. Right? We can close another one, and it said client disconnected from server. And then we can close another one, and it says our client disconnected from our server. So now that we know that it's working, let's actually start setting this disconnected flag to true. Now here's the thing with threads now, guys. Since this is using threads or multi-threaded, we'll need to introduce a mutex for our chatsock list, because whenever we're allocating memory, let's say within our accept thread, it can happen that we're trying to access our client list. Meanwhile, our client list is being resized from our accept thread, right? So it could cause collisions or race conditions. So we'll need to introduce a mutex to our chatsock list. So let's have a pthread underscore mutex t right here, because we'll need to, let's just call it mutex. And we'll also have a, let's see. So that is our mutex right there for our list. We're also gonna introduce some new prototypes. Let's create a prototype. Let's make it a void chatsock list underscore mutex init chatsock list t pointer socket. And we'll also have a void chatsock list mutex lock chatsock list t pointer sockets. We'll also have a void chatsock list mutex underscore unlock chatsock list t sockets. And let's copy these prototypes and go to our chatsock list.c. We'll just paste that in right there. So guys, in order to prevent multiple threads from accessing our list at the same time, we need our mutexes, right? So whenever we're performing an operation within one of our thread, we'll need to lock our mutex, and then that will essentially pause the execution of the other threads so that each one of them don't try to access our client list at the same time, because that could cause crashes within our application and all of that. So right here, guys, where we're in our exception thread, right? Let's just focus on initializing our mutex first. So we'll use our pthread mutex underscore init function, and we'll pass in a pointer to our sockets mutex, and then our attributes will be the default attributes, so we'll set that to null. And now for our lock, we'll do a pthread mutex underscore lock sockets mutex, and for our unlock, we'll do a pthread mutex underscore unlock sockets mutex. Now let's go in our destroy thing, and we'll just do a chatsock. We'll just do a pthread mutex underscore destroy sockets mutex, so that we uninitialize our mutex. So now that we have those functions, let's go in our chat server, and we'll need to initialize our mutex. So once we create our client list, we'll need to do a pthread underscore mutex. No, let's use our chatsock list underscore mutex init function, and we'll pass in a pointer to our client list. And then, yeah, that should be it. So right here where we're accepting a client, guys, we'll need to call our chatsock list underscore mutex lock sockets mutex. Oh, it shouldn't be sockets, it should be our client list mutex. Oh, hold on. So our client list mutex lock function accepts a pointer to our client list. So therefore, we should have our client list right there. And then we can try to add our client to our client list. Then we could start a receive thread, and then we could do a chatsock list mutex unlock client list. and that will unlock our mutex. Now let's focus on our receive message function. So let's introduce some other functions that will allow us to set our disconnected flag and all of those stuff to true or false or whatever. So let's see. So here's the thing, guys. Whenever we disconnect a client from our server, or a client disconnects from our server, we'll need to be able to remove it from our list. So that means we'll need to have some way to not lose track of our pointers in case our list gets reallocated whenever we accept a client on our server. So we'll introduce a new member to our chatsock item structure. Let's introduce a size T UID. This will just stand for unique identifier. And in our accept thread, we'll have a size T. Let's just call it UID. We'll set it equal to 0 for now. And each time we accept a client, we will essentially increment our UID right here, and in our add socket, we'll modify it so that it accepts a UID as well. So let's modify this function so it accepts a size T UID, and we'll also make it so our new sockets new count -1.UID is equal to our UID. And then let's modify this prototype for this. And yeah, this looks good. So now that we've done that, we're gonna introduce some other new functions, because we're gonna need to because let's say, guys, one of our client disconnects, right, from our socket or our server. The client index that we pass in as a parameter, right, which is our receive arg thing, it could get invalidated, because whenever we're gonna be removing a client from our client list, the pointers could change, right? So we could shift the client index and all of that. So therefore, we're gonna need to be able to keep track of that. That's why we introduce this unique identifier right here. So we're gonna introduce some new prototypes. So we're gonna introduce let's say, bool chatsock list _find, which will allow us to find a client index by a used UID. So it will accept a chatsock list T pointer sockets, and it will accept a size t UID, and it will return a size t of index. And we'll also need a function to remove a client as well, guys. So let's have a void chatsock list underscore remove, which will accept a chatsock list t socket and a size t index of that client that we want to remove. So let's just copy these prototypes and we'll just paste this in our chatsock list. Just paste it right here. So our find will essentially just iterate through our list, and then it will look for our UID that we pass in as a parameter. Then it will just return our index, and it will also return a Boolean to indicate whether it found that client. So we'll have a, let's say, bool found. We'll set it equal to false up here, and then we'll have a loop which iterates through our client list. So we'll have a for size ti equals to 0, I is less than our sockets count, I plus plus. We'll say if sockets list at index I dot UID is equal to our UID, then we'll set our index equal to I. Then we will just set found equal to true. Then we'll just break out of our loop. And then at the end, we'll just do a return found. And that will be it. And then our remove function, guys, will essentially be, let's see, we'll say, so it will accept a index. So we'll need to validate our index, guys, so that it isn't greater than our count or anything like that. So we'll say if our index is greater than or equal to our sockets count, then we'll just return let's make or remove a bool so that we can check or validate if we successfully removed a client. So let's rename this prototype to a bool. And then right here, if our index is greater than or equal to our sockets count, we'll just return false up here. At the end, we'll just return true. Now, guys, in order to remove a client by the index, we'll need to start iterating from that index, and we'll need to shift that client to the end of our list. So let's have a loop right here. We'll have a for size ti is equal to our index I is less than our sockets count minus 1 I plus plus, and we'll say, let's see, we'll say we'll get our current index or our current client. So we'll say chatsock item t let's just call it current equal to sockets list at index I, and then we'll say sockets list at index I is equal to our next client. So we'll say sockets list at index I plus 1. Then we'll set our next client equal to our current. That way we keep shifting it to the end of our list. So we'll say sockets list at index I plus 1 is equal to our sockets list, is equal to our current that we saved up here. And then we'll need to deallocate memory. So we'll do something like, we'll say if not sockets count. So after we shift our client to the end, guys, we'll need to decrement the number of clients connected. So above here we'll do a sockets count minus minus, and then if it is 0, we'll just do a free sockets list, and then let's see, then we'll just say sockets, we'll just say sockets, we'll just say chat sock list underscore init. So our socket gets set to null and our count gets set to null. So we'll just pass in our sockets, and then we can just do a return true right here, and then we can reallocate memory right here, so it gets deallocated. So we can say sockets list is equal to realloc sockets list, and then we can say sockets count times the size of a chat sock item underscore t, and then that should be our remove function, guys. Let's also implement, let's just leave it like that for now. So whenever a client disconnects, guys, we'll need to essentially close that connection. So above here we'll do something like chat sock underscore close, and we'll say client, so it should be a pointer to our client, and then we'll do a chat sock close client right here as well. And yeah, so we'll need to set our disconnected flag to true as well, so that we can remove that particular client as well. So let's see. So we'll create a new function, guys. Let's make it a void chat sock list underscore set. disconnected, and it will accept a chat sock list t pointer sockets, and it will accept a size t UID, and it will essentially find our client by that UID. So we'll do a chat sock list find sockets UID, and then it will return an index. So we'll have a size t, let's just call it index. Let's just call it client index. We'll set it equal to 0, then we'll pass in a pointer to our client index. Oh, let's just call it set disconnected status, and then we'll have a bool status, and then so we'll do a chat sock list find UID, and we'll say if chat sock list find, we'll just say sockets list at index client index dot disconnected is equal to our status, and that should be it. Let's also have another function for setting our receive finish flag as well. So we'll have a void, let's just copy this because it will be similar. So we'll have a void chat sock list, we'll rename it to set receive status, and it will accept the UID, then a bool status, then it will accept a client. So we'll set our client index, and then we'll set our receive finished equal to our given status, and that will be our set receive flag. So now we can modify this receive message function, and we can just do a chat sock list right here underscore set disconnected status, then we'll pass in our client list, then we'll need to have our UID, then we'll need to set our status to true, and let's copy this as well. So we'll just paste this right here, and we'll also need to do this for the receive finished as well, guys. So let's just copy this set receive status function up here. So, and we'll just paste it right here, and we'll just pass in our client list, then we'll pass in our unique ID, and then we'll set our status to true, and then we can delete this right here. So we'll need to get our UID up here as well, guys. So let's have a size t right here. Let's call it UID, and it will be equal to our client list receive arg client index dot UID. Wait, let's move it down here. Yeah, let's just paste it right here. Let's actually have a size t client index up here. We'll set it equal to our receive arg client index. We'll have our message size up here. We'll set it to 0. We'll have our UID, which will be equal to our client list. Wait, let's just have our message size up there. We'll then get our, so we'll have our client list up here, and then we'll have our UID equal to our client list list at index client index dot UID. Then can have our client, and just replace that with our client index right there. So then we can just delete this right here. And yeah, that looks pretty good. So now guys, we can actually start testing this out. So let's go into our chat server.c, and right in here where we are receiving messages and starting our receive thread and all of that, we'll do a check in here. We'll see, let's see. So we'll do a check. We'll say above here, we'll say client, if client list. Wait, so we'll get our UID, guys. So we'll have a size t UID. And we'll say it will be equal to our client list dot list at index I dot UID. Let's just call it client UID, and we'll say if client list dot list at index I dot disconnected, then can make this a else if right here, and then for disconnected, right? So when our client gets disconnected, we'll need to remove it from our list. So we'll essentially do a chatsock list underscore remove, which will, so we'll need to find our UID, but index. So we'll do a chatsock list underscore find, and it will accept our client list. Then it will accept our client UID, then it will accept our index. So our index will be let's just have a client index up here. We'll set it equal to I. And then we can pass in a pointer to that client index. And this should be a pointer. So we'll just do a if right here. We'll say if chatsock list find. Then we'll do a chatsock list underscore remove ampersand client list, and then we'll pass in our client index. We could do a check right here. We could say if chatsock list remove, and we could do a printf successfully removed client from client with UID mod CU from server. We can print out our client UID. And then down here we could just do a break right here. So now guys, let's actually test this out. So let's compile our chat server and let's see what happens. Alright, so it compiled successfully. So let's try to execute an application. Let's try to close this. So it says it successfully removed client with UID 0 from server. Let's execute some other ones. Right, so let's do something like main. And we'll close this. Let's see. So if we close this, you can see it successfully removed client with UID 3 from our server. Can close this other one. Close this other one. So it works, guys. Now here's what we need to ensure that we do, guys. We need to lock in our receive message, just like how we lock our mutex within our accept thread. We need to also lock our client list mutex as well. So right here, whenever we close our connection, we need to do a chatsock list underscore lock. Chatsock list underscore mutex lock, and then we can pass in our client list. And then we'll need to unlock our client mutex. So we'll do a chatsock list underscore unlock client list. Could do a mod CU right here. We could print out our client index. Could do it right here as well. This is our client index. We'll need to first lock our mutex. and then we'll need to unlock it. And we'll also need to do it down here as well, guys, because we don't want two threads accessing our list at the same time. So we'll do a chat sock list mutex lock client list, and then we'll unlock our mutex. Now notice, guys, let's see. So whenever a client gets disconnected, we need to remember to join the receive thread as well, so that we free memory. So let's actually do that. So before we actually remove a client or try to find that client, we'll need to do a chat sock list mutex lock client list, and then at the end right here we'll do a chat sock list mutex unlock client list down here as well. So when we find that mutex, we'll do a chat sock list underscore, let's say join receive, and then we'll pass in our client list, and then we'll need to, it should be a pointer, and then we'll need to pass in our client index. Then we'll need to get that message. So that message, it could contain a message, so because it could contain a message, let's see. Oh, we don't need to get any message because we're returning null from our receive. So we'll just join our receive thread, and then we'll remove that client from our client list. And that will be it. So let's recompile our server or code, and then we can test it out. So if I run this, so I'm gonna try to send some messages. So let's say hey from client 0, right, and then we can say hey from client 1, right. Now let's try to disconnect. So we'll just do that. Alright, client 1 disconnected from server, successfully removed client with UID 1 from server. Can close this, right? It works. Can open up some more applications. Let's test this out more. And let's execute another one. Right. Let me just resize these windows. So if I send a message, let's say, hello everyone, right? Each one of them gets that message. And then I can say, hey there. Hey there. I can reply and say, how are you guys? Each one of them gets that message. I am doing great. I am also doing good. You can reply and say, awesome. Right, so each one of them gets that message. Cool. Alright. So let's try to close one of these windows now again. Right, successfully removed client. Alright, cool. We can close another one. Alright. So you guys can see we successfully implemented the ability to handle client disconnections. So let's actually test this out on Linux now. Let's actually test it out. So let's open up our terminal for Ubuntu. Right, it's taking a while. Alright, so this is, let me just close this real quick. I'm just gonna open up a terminal within this chat up folder. Let's do a Alt-Shift-D for some split panes. And let's do cd into our chat server directory. So currently, guys, we don't have a build script for our chat server for Linux. So let's actually create that. So let's do a vim build.sh. Let's do a colon set number. And we'll just do a echo building chat server dot. We'll then do a echo running chat server dot. Above here we'll do a gcc chat server dot c dash, and we'll do a dot slash chatsock dot c dot slash chatsock list dot c dash o chat server, and then we'll just do a dot slash chat server, and that will be our build script. So if we run our build.sh, alright, so we have some warnings. Let's try to fix those warnings. Alright, so it's just some include stuff. So let's try to fix that. Let's try to fix that. So let's open up our chat.def.h header file. So if we go in our chat server directory, we execute our build.sh, the first thing it says is string.h, and then it says stdlib. So let's include those header files within our chat.def. So we'll just do a hash include string.h hash include stdlib.h, and let's try to execute our build.sh now. Alright, so it compiled successfully. Now let's try to test it out. So let's do a ./build.sh so we get our chat up. Alright, so it executed successfully. Let's try to resize it. Let's try to execute another. So let's do a ./main. Right, it connected to our server. ./main. Connected to our server again. So now let me just resize this a bit. And let's try to send some messages. The resizing is kind of slow for some reason. It's pretty slow. Let's just kill this. Right, so yeah, our disconnection is working pretty good. Let's try to run these applications. Right, can I resize this? Man, WSL Linux is slow for this kind of stuff. Let me try to resize this. Why is WSL Linux so slow, bro? Let me try to close VS Code real quick. And see if it improves this resize thing. It's really slow on WSL Linux. But it works. Let me try to resize this. Okay, it resized, but it's really slow. It's really slow. Alright, let's just try to send a message real quick. So if I say hello, how are you? Then I press enter. Alright, at least it works. Wait, let's try to execute another window. And let's try to see if I could get this to work. Alright, so resizing, it feels a little bit faster now. So if I say hello, anyone, anybody home? Alright, so it works. You can say yes sir. Okay, so it works. What's up? Everything is good. Alright, so everything works now, guys. So let's try to disconnect real quick. Alright, successfully disconnected client. Okay, cool. Can close this other one. Nice. Can close this other one. And it works. So as you guys can see, we successfully handled client disconnections. Our chat application works pretty good and on Linux as well. So that will be it for today's video, guys. So thank you guys for watching. And in the next episode, we will allow our messages to be scrollable, so that we can scroll through our messages and all of that. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next episode.